Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, how are you today? I hope you are in a good health. Before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Maftuhatarizqoh, or you can call me Ko, and I live in Depok City. Today, in this video, I want to explain about the stages in language acquisition in the meeting 12. And this is introduction to psycholinguistic course. Before we go to the stages, I want to explain about what is language acquisition. Language acquisition is an area of study that crosses a variety of disciplines. Because of this, the goals of investigators vary tremendously, and thus the extent and domain of explanation sought. According to Stork and Widdowson, language acquisition is the process of children achieving fluency in their mother tongue. And according to Lyons, reveals that language acquisition is a language that is used without qualification for the process that produce language knowledge in language speakers. There is Stern and Stern is generally considered to be the first real classic in child language. He sees development as scanning 5-time period or stage. What are the stage or the period? The first is preliminary stage, unintelligible imitation, preliminary understanding. The second is first period. The child acquires a small number of sounds with special meanings, which express the ideas of an entire sentence. There is, however, no evidence that the child understands grammar. The third is second period. The child realizes that everything has name, with a subsequent part in a word acquisition. Question about names of things soon after the first multi-word utterances appear, first hesitantly, then more fluently. The fourth is third period. Sentences become well-formed in that they contain words for the major grammatical relations, like subject and object. And the acquisition of inflection begins and may last for years. Syntax consists of the loose thinking or linking of words together where word order may vary. The range of questions expands. And the last is fourth period. The simple juxtaposition of words in syntax is replaced by hierarchical structure and the acquisition of embedded or subordinate sentences. The acquisition of some grammatical morphemes still continues. The child's questions now include this of time and causality. And we go to the stages. There are four main stages. There are four main of normal stages in language acquisition. The babbling stage, the holoprostic or one-word stage, the two-word stage, and the telegraphic stage. These stages can be broken down even more into these smaller stages: pre-production, early production, speech emergent, beginning fluency, intermediate fluency, and advanced fluency. And on this video, I will explain the four main stages of language acquisition. The first is babbling. Within a few weeks of being born, the baby begins to recognize its mother's voice. There are two substages within this period. The first occurs between birth 8 months. Most of this stage involves the baby relating its surroundings, and only during 5 or 6 until 8 months period does the baby begin using its vocals. During these months, the baby hears sounds around them and tries to reproduce them, albeit with limited success. The baby's attempts at creating and experimenting with sounds is what we call babbling. When the baby has been babbling for a few months, it begins to relate the words or sounds it is making to objects or things. This is the second substage, from 8 months to 12 months. The baby gains more and more control over not only its vocal communication, but physical communication as well. For example, body language and gesturing. Eventually, when the baby uses both verbal and nonverbal means to communicate, only then does it move on to the next stage of language acquisition. And the second is holoprostic or one-word stage. The second stage of language acquisition is the holoprostic or one-word stage. This stage is characterized by one-word sentences. In this stage, nouns make up around 50% of the infant's vocabulary, while verbs and modifiers make up around 30%, and question and negative make up the rest. This one-word stage contains single word utterances such as play for I want to play now. Infants use this sentence primarily to obtain things they want or need, but sometimes they aren't that obvious. For example, a baby may cry or say mama when it purely wants attention. The infant is ready to advance to the next stage when it can speak in successive one-word sentences. The third is two-word stage. The two-word stage, as you may have guessed, is made of primarily two-word sentences. The sentences contain one word for the predicate and one word for the subject. For example, doggy walk for the sentence the dog is being walked. During this stage, we see the appearance of single modifiers. For example, that dog. Two-word question, for example, mommy eat. And the addition of the suffix ing onto words to describe something that is currently happening, baby sleeping. And the last stage is telegraphic stage. The final stage of language acquisition is the telegraphic stage. This stage is named as it's because it is similar to what is seen in a telegram, containing just enough information for the sentence to make sense. This sentence or this stage contains many 3 and 4 word sentences. Sometimes during this stage, the child begins to see the links between words and objects, and therefore overgeneralization comes in. Some examples of sentences in the telegraphic stage are mommy eat carrot. What her name? And he is playing ball. During this stage, a child's vocabulary expands from 50 words to up to 30,000 words. At the end of this stage, the child starts to incorporate plurals, joining words and attempts to get a grip on tenses. As a child's grasp on language grows, it may seem to us as though they just learn each part in a random order, but this is not the case. There is a definite order of speech sounds. Children first start speaking vowels, starting with the rounded mouthed sounds like O and A. After the vowels come the consonants P, B, M, T, D, N, K, and G. The consonants are first because they are easier to pronounce. Then some of the others, for example, S and Z, require a specific tongue place which children cannot do at that age. As all human beings do, children will improvise something they cannot yet do. For example, when children come across a sound they cannot produce, they replace it with sound they can. For example, Bob for shop, shop, and one for run. These are just few examples of researchful children are. Even if in our eyes it is just cute. I think that is all from me. I hope you guys enjoy this video and I hope this is useful for you. Stay healthy, stay positive. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.